first paper from Kim Rafine is going to look at a specific case study dealing with social media and questions that arose in a parenting video that was posted online and has created quite a controversy. So welcome and thank you for coming, and I'm looking forward to an interesting and lively discussion. Our first speaker is Kim Rafine.
Good morning, everyone. So I would like to ask you, what is a parent? Many of us think of a parent as someone who loves us, cares for us, and ensures our safe well-being. The legal definition of a parent or guardian in New Jersey, according to childwelfare.gov, is any natural parent, adoptive parent, resource family parent, step-parent, paramour of a parent, or a person who has assumed responsibility for the care, custody, and control of a child, or upon whom there is legal duty for such care. If parents are legally responsible for their children and their care, then does that give us the right to criticize those who do not uphold this responsibility? What if that person is from a different culture with different values? Are we still able to hold them responsible for what we think that they do or do not do correctly? This is an issue that our society faces very often these days. Do we practice tolerance and accept the way that other people choose to live their lives according to their cultural backgrounds? Or do we intervene when we think that something is going wrong? There are a lot of fine lines regarding this issue, and it's very easy to overstep boundaries. But today I argue that when talking about child abuse, this act is immoral regardless of cultural backgrounds and conditions. So to define child abuse, I consulted childwelfare.gov. The definition is that child abuse inflicts or allows to be inflicted upon such child physical injury other than by accidental means that causes or creates substantial risk of death, serious or protracted disfigurement, protracted impairment of physical or emotional health, or protracted loss or impairment of the function of bodily organs. Child abuse creates or allows to be created a substantial or ongoing risk of physical injury to such child by other than accidental means. Now that the definition of child abuse that I'm going to be referring to is clarified, I would like to explain why this new baby yoga movement that's going on in Russia and in Egypt is a danger to children abroad and should be ended immediately. So by show of hands, has anyone heard of baby yoga? Kind of? Okay. So for those of you who don't know, a woman named Lena Fokina is a trained physical education teacher from Russia, and she has been practicing extreme yoga with infants as young as 2 weeks old. Her techniques include swinging infants over her head by their frail limbs around in circles, up and down. And her reason for this brutal treatment is that she is making the infants stronger, and she is helping them to become more advanced at younger ages. It's very hard to watch these videos. I actually thought that they were fake at first, and my parents did as well. But after researching, I found out that she's using real children, and I'll show you a video shortly. A few websites have actually banned these videos because of their abusive content, so I don't want to show it, but I feel like I need to let her actions speak for themselves. So I'm just going to show a short clip.
Lena Fokina runs seminars teaching her extreme brand of baby yoga on the beaches of Dahab, Egypt.
Я провожу ручку ее, видишь, вот. Если с тобой провожу руку, вместе с твоей рукой практически.
That's enough. So as you can see, she handles the children very roughly. Like the first part I thought was a doll. It didn't look like a real child, but in the second video you can clearly hear the baby crying, and the parents are standing 3 feet away watching. She boasts that some of her youngest clients are 2 weeks old. This is shocking to me because it's the very definition of child abuse. She creates a substantial risk of death and allows an ongoing risk of physical injury to a child other than by accidental means. According to the World Health Organization, young babies' brains are about the consistency of unset gelatin, which means that rapid and deceleration and acceleration force causes a lot of damage to the brain tissue and to blood vessels. It actually causes a lot more damage than a direct bump to the head, like if a baby had fallen. Babies are especially sensitive to these kinds of motions because of the softness of the brain and the lack of neck muscle development. These movements can be equated to shaken baby syndrome. These children are being tossed around, causing brain matter to contact their skull with extreme force. According to the CDC, shaken baby syndrome is the leading cause of child abuse death in the United States. 1 in every 4 babies who is violently shaken will die. Others who do survive will suffer lifelong consequences such as seizures, blindness, and mental handicaps, among others. Baby yoga more than likely causes shaken baby syndrome, even if it is mild cases. No studies have been done on these children, however, so it's hard for me to find any kind of numbers and cite conclusive evidence. But science does speak for itself. These young infants are frail and their bodies are not engineered to endure such treatment. So my question to you is, do we have the right to speak out against this woman and send her to trial for what she's doing to these children? My answer is yes. If we know that this child is being harmed, it is our duty to speak out against the mistreatment and improve conditions for that child. According to British philosopher W.D. Ross, we have duties to others, and these duties are fundamental parts of fundamental nature of the universe. According to him, we have the duty of non-maleficence, or the duty not to harm others. After watching that graphic video, it's very clear that she's violating this duty to these children. Not only is she violating this duty to the children, but the parents are not upholding their responsibilities as guardians of those children. As bystanders, we also have a duty to these children who are being abused, the duty of beneficence, which is the duty to improve the condition of others. So can we justify making others abide by these duties? This comes down to the issue of cultural relativism. Is it possible for something to be right in one culture but wrong in another? Can we say that something is not immoral for Russian parents to do, but is immoral for American parents to do? I say no. Child abuse is immoral no matter where the crime occurs. If we say that we do have duties to others, then it must follow that we have to speak out against the injustices being done against these children, regardless of their cultural background. Defenders of cultural relativism say that what is right in one culture may be wrong in another. However, to go so far as to say that child abuse may be right in a different culture than ours is wrong. Peter Kreeft says that we must distinguish subjective value opinions from objective values. It's one thing for someone to have an opinion about the morality of a value, but it's another for that value to have morality. He asks us to imagine a society in which justice, honesty, and hope are deemed morally evil, and another in which selfishness, cowardice, and lying are deemed morally correct. It's very hard to wrap your mind around this because no society like that would be found on Earth. It seems that there are certain aspects of humanity that unite us, and these seem to be these instinctual duties that we have to one another that we must abide by to continue being social creatures. So, what if these methods end up in the United States? Lena has been quoted in saying that she will soon be working with a family in England. She's actually teaching classes to parents so that the parents can do this instead of her doing it individually with the families. It's also very expensive. So what happens if this ends up here? I argue that legislation needs to be upheld and that Lena needs to be tried for child abuse. A case should be made against her for the treatment of these children. We would never allow babysitters or daycare providers to do this to our children, so it's absurd to think that this self-proclaimed yoga guru should feel that she's entitled to harm these children. I also argue that parents who allow their children to be subjected to this treatment should be tried for child abuse because they should know that this is harming their children and that it's wrong to do. So there are a variety of online petitions right now that I saw, but it seems that this is not a widespread movement. I think a lot of people are unsure if it's actually real. They see the video and they're like, no, it's not real. I'm not going to pay attention, but it's real and it's an issue. So I'm hoping that in the future, more people pay attention to this issue and maybe signing those online petitions and making it, clear on social media that this is real and that it's an issue will help to get a movement started. That's it.